What is going on, Polestar fans? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today I want to give you a quick overview of the data points, what they're truly saying, go over some latest updates, but more specifically, I want to talk on is right now a good time to buy Polestar or not. So I'm going to go over all that. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And with that, let's get right to it. So currently trading $3.31. It did transition from the higher to the lower percentile of the Bollinger Band, also broke the 50-day moving average. Unfortunately, it is currently trading between this S2 and the S1 on the fib levels, bounced off of that exactly on Friday, so $3.28. So that technically isn't the best, but stochastic does mirror that exact same thing as well. So a little bit more of a bearish sentiment. So red line above the black. Number of retail investors are just been getting out over the last little bit. So the technicals do not look the best. And this is largely because of two different things. One of which is a broader market problem about the whole debt ceiling. A lot of people are on edge about that. That most likely will continue until resolved, hopefully before June the 1st. But of course that will bring a lot of volatility and a lot of sell-offs. But technically there was a little bit more of a further problem with Polestar itself because of their earnings. So I'll give you guys a quick overview of their earnings. I did live stream this, so I'm not going to go into depth for it, just bring up some of the things that's affecting the stock price as of right now. And one of which is that they did push the Polestar 3 back until I think it was Q1 of 2024, which not necessarily the best thing to do. They did cite a software problem that does and isn't transferable to the PS4, so that's a good thing at least. So it's solely just the PS3. But still, the fact that they're pushing it back isn't necessarily the best thing. And over and above that, that is also affecting their targets for 2023. So 60 to 70,000 is their new targets, and that was cut from 80. And like I said, they did largely say it was due to the Polestar 3. But when an analyst did ask some follow-up questions as far as demand in one of the 27 markets that they are in, Polestar started to just hip and haw and didn't really answer it confidently. So I think there is a underlying demand problem. More specifically in Netherlands though, when they did and were asked about that, they did say that Polestar is doing fairly good in comparison to Lucid. And of course, I also cover Lucid as well. So I know that they do not and are not really big in, for instance, Netherlands. So the fact that Polestar is comparing themselves to Lucid, that just was a very red flag for me. Me personally, of course, who isn't a financial advisor. You guys do your own due diligence at the end of the day. And one final thing that they did bring up that wasn't necessarily the best, that is unfortunately hurting the stock, is the fact that they're laying off 10% of their staff, which normally is fairly good. But the fact that they are doing it now versus in 2022, it shows an amateurness and kind of their lack of ability to be on top of a lot of their expenses, because a lot of the business-oriented companies such as Rivian and Tesla, they were all laying off staff in Q3, Q4 2022 versus Polestar doing it right now. So not necessarily the best image, and they are laying off, like I said, 10% of their staff, 800 employees, taking them back to 2020 employment levels. And there was a good comment in one of my videos that put it in a good perspective. Companies such as Lucid and Polestar that are laying off employees right now, they are a lot of engineers, a lot of brilliant minds that make a very good vehicle, but they're not very business oriented. Versus, for instance, Rivian and Tesla, they know their stuff. They are very business oriented. So it's one of those things that, yes, they make a beautiful vehicle, but it unfortunately makes them come off as amateur. So a lot of this is affecting the stock price as of right now, despite the huge amount of EV demand that is there for obviously Polestar to take advantage of in the 27 markets that they are in. So again, that's something you need to factor in. As far as the latest round of 13Fs, there was one that did come up that unfortunately wasn't necessarily the best. So you do see a lot of red ones, so a lot of institutions getting out, some of which, such as Bank of America, reduced their position by 95%. But BlackRock, they reduced their position by 1.22%. I know that doesn't necessarily seem like much because they still have 497,000 shares, but the fact that they did in fact reduce their position overall wasn't necessarily the best, because BlackRock was actually increasing their position in Q1 2023 in a lot of big growth stocks. And they were kind of dumping or reducing their position in a lot of the junkier stocks. They've announced that. So definitely wasn't the best to see that they reduced their position in Polestar. And I get it. A lot of my videos, I say the exact same thing, that I have no idea and no real justification why Polestar is going down as much as it has been. It's very much unjustified. Based on even the latest Morningstar report, it puts the fair market value at around $8, which even if you look at a lot of the multiples, it says the exact same thing, that Polestar is at a very substantial discount, but yet it still goes down. And even the options activity, still very much bullish all the time. So definitely there's a little bit more of an inconsistency, but based on everything that I did say, big money not necessarily buying Polestar as much as I would like to see, that will and does play a factor into kind of whether right now is a good time to buy or not. And so like I mentioned, given all the circumstances, big money not necessarily buying, the potential red flags from their earnings, I want to give you a good overview and whether right now is a good time to buy Polestar or not. And keep in mind, this is short-term mentality, short-term talks, because long-term, yes, Polestar is going to do a hell of a lot of good things. They have a very good infrastructure, good vehicle. So long-term, this isn't really the topic right now, because typically long-term, especially looking at the stats for EVs, it all very much justifies that big things are eventually going to come. So again, if you have a long-term mentality, buy, forget, just let it go. But generally speaking, if you're trying to catch the exact bottom, then most likely I do anticipate that things will get worse before they get better. So meaning I wouldn't say right now is the best time to buy. And my reasoning is because largely of the debt ceiling. So a lot of people are very, very worried about the whole debt ceiling, and that most likely is going to cause a lot of stocks to go down. And without the buying power that Polestar needs, this is also one kind of justification why it's just been trending down so much. Because oddly enough, just institutions do not want to buy Polestar. And so technically you have this broader negative sentiment that, like I mentioned, is kind of present right here. So you have that. And so that's going to cause a lot more selling pressure, and without technically the institutions to support and provide a lot of good amount of buying, then it will most likely continue to trend down. My own opinion, of course, these videos are for entertainment purposes only, and it does pain me to say that because technically as well, I have a position in Polestar. So the fact that I do think that it is going to continue to trend down, it does suck. But generally though, I'm investing for the long term. So I'm not always trying to catch the bottom per se. I think my average is around 440, 450, somewhere around there. So I'm pretty happy regardless of that, but still I do anticipate a lot of volatility to come. And even more specific to, for instance, Polestar and their earnings, it did bring up some red flags. And of course, based on their earnings, there's different ways to interpret that. You can also look at just the plain numbers, which obviously isn't that bad because I think they had 884 million in cash and cash equivalents. So that was definitely a pretty positive thing. Don't quote me on the amount. I think I might be off just based on memory. But the numbers weren't that bad. But of course, if you're listening to the tone and what they are truly trying to not say, I think this is what a lot of analysts were catching on to, and this is why analysts were trying to tear them apart, very much so. So once again, let me know you guys' thoughts on all of this in the comments below. Do you agree with me? Do you think it is going to trend down? Do you think it's just going to go up from here? Ideally, that would be the best case scenario. But of course, like I said, I'm just reading on the data points and everything else, and that's what's kind of signaling as of right now. So once again, let me know you guys' thoughts on all of this in the comments below. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. One final thing I just wanted to share with you, don't forget to take advantage of this promo. Link in the description below and also the comments. Sign up for a free account. You get one free stock. Each stock is valued up to $2,000. Complete no-brainer. I appreciate you guys watching, and let's all make a lot of money eventually on Polestar.